Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Unmasking Your Soul Conversations. I'm Anumani, your modern day shaman, and I have a wonderful guest with us today, joining us from Australia, Kate Hore-Lacy. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Anumani. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Thank you for
Good,
being
it's good to be
here.
here.
And before we get started, I always like to read a little bit of the bio to let our audience know who you are, and then we're going to start with the questions.
Yeah, sounds great.
So Kate is a think out of the box sales and mindset strategist for female entrepreneurs and industry leaders. Her calling is to serve good people who are great at what they do, helping them get their products and services into the hands of ideal clients in a more effective and profitable way. She helps people who often hate sales to fall in love with a new way of selling that is in alignment with who they are. She inspires women to shine their light and reach their maximum potential so they can stop stagnating and live the business and life of their dreams. She's been practicing a wide range of self-development methodologies for 3 decades and uses EFT to help clients quickly break self-sabotaging patterns. Kate's the creator of the International Sales with Soul Summit and Empower TV, and has recently founded the Heart-Centered Entrepreneurs Association of Australia. To find out more about Kate, you can get free resources at katehorelacy.com. And we'll put all of your information underneath the video once we're done here. Welcome, Kate. It's so great to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So, Kate, I always like to start the show asking my guests the same question, and would like your answer to this in terms of your experience of soul, or what soul means to you.
Sure. So soul, what it means to me. So I guess our soul is the thing that is untouched by human experience. It is the thing that goes on regardless of, whether we're here or not. And yeah, it is, it's um, our inner being, our deepest self.
Beautiful. Yes, I love that. And this show is all about connecting with the deeper self and helping people understand the journeys that we go through to be able to unmask and do some of the things that you talk about in your bio. Is how can you be more of yourself, and how can you do that for entrepreneurs to really do sales from a place that feels in alignment. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But I wanted to start with you telling us your story about how you got to where you are today and what your journey of unmasking has been like.
Sure. So yeah, I was really lucky to do what I love for quite some time. I was a professional singer, which was fantastic, and a really wonderful journey full of ups and downs. But yeah, like towards the last year or two, I just really kind of felt like I wasn't using, I guess, all of myself. I always really enjoyed helping people, and I loved business when I was doing business earlier with sales and so on. And yeah, and so I guess I prayed for my next step, because it's really quite difficult when you're kind of meant to be living your dream, but it's not really kind of fulfilling anymore. So I didn't want to go back to corporate world, because I'd been there and done that. So I was like, well, what's next? What do I do now? So I kind of just released it out, in the form of praying and asking for that next step. And within kind of a couple of days, my partner at the time broke up with me over the phone. And that was, pretty devastating, because I thought that he was going to be the one that I'd spend the rest of my life with. And so that was a, difficult time. But through that, I kept my eyes open, because I knew that something really great would come out of it, because out of absolutely everything bad that happens in my life, something equally as good always comes out of it if I just keep my eyes open, don't play the victim card, and just kind of fall into grace a little. just and during that time I just allowed whatever was going and just kind of, I mean, I tend to like to have things organized, and it's actually a really nice place to be sometimes, just falling into grace and just allowing what is, and just kind of, if whatever emotions are coming up, to come up, whoever I'm meant to see, I go and see. And as it turned out, I went and saw a very good friend of mine who kind of consoled me for a couple of hours. And then after that, I said, "How are you?" And she said, "Kate, I'm really struggling." I knew she'd spent about $5,000 on this program to launch her services. And she works so hard, and she's such a brilliant girl. She's really smart, really good at what she does. She's also got her own marketing agency. But she's like, I absolutely hate sales. I hate it. I wish I didn't have to do it. No one is signing up. Can you help me? Because she knew that I used to do sales, and I did very well since, when I was young, when I was like, 19 and in my 20s. I had good experience managing and training teams, and that was before I was a singer. So I said, yeah, of course I can. And I started training her, and all this stuff that was second nature to me. She didn't know, which was so surprising to me, because again, I kind of fell into it so young. I thought, a lot of this, it was just kind of second nature. And it wasn't hard to kind of just tweak a few things that she was doing, not so well, and just give her some new strategies and so on. And within like a session or two, she closed her first high-end client. And she started, answering objections in a really, great positive way. And she said, "Look, I'm actually really starting to enjoy this process. It's actually really fun." And I said, "Yeah, I know, of course it is, because sales is absolutely fun. I've never in my whole, and I've sold quite a lot, before I was a professional singer, that was my career for, 10 or 12 years. I never once compromised who I was, or my integrity. I'd have to only sell for, products and things that I was really interested, that I really thought was valuable, and that is key. But sales is really fun because it's a great way to connect with people, especially, if anyone out there is a coach or a healer and you get the privilege to actually have these discovery sessions. There's no better way to connect with people and really help them to gain clarity and get those aha moments. And, I want to say that the best thing that you can do for your clients or people that you are in contact with, if they're right to speak with you, is actually inspire them to work with you. And I'd love you to get that. Anyone out there who's struggling with, feeling salesy and not wanting to make offers and stuff like that, and fearing rejection, you know what? Get over yourself in a nice way, because, if you're doing what your calling is, it's not about you. It's about the client. And I know my clients are much better for working with me than not, and I know with you too. I'm sure that if you're fulfilling your soul's purpose, the best thing you can do for your client is inspire them to work with you. So, get over your fear of rejection. I mean, there's lots of different ways to do that. And, there's free resources on my website. You can that will help you do that. And look, we all feel it. I still feel it myself. But I think if you're living your soul's calling, you need to inspire people to work with you and take that leap. And the whole process can be fun. It really can. And especially when you're dealing with stuff like objections, because the bigger the transformation that is possible for people, and this would be great if you can really understand this as well, the bigger the transformation, the more the ego in the individual is probably going to want to throw up stuff like objections. And it's really important to understand where the objections are coming from. And it's usually the ego saying, "Look, but we're safe here. We might be in a little box and feeling stifled and a bit in pain, but I'm used to this. So, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't think I've got time for that. No, I don't think I've got the funds for that." This kind of stuff is coming from, a lot of the time, especially if you do kind of deep transformational work, whether it be in business or in, healing or mentoring, whatever you're called to do. the ego sometimes can be quite powerful. So sometimes it's just about saying, look, hey, you know, is this could this be a little bit of a fear, fear of change? And sometimes if you can just intuitively, get that, and the person all of a sudden just goes, oh, yeah, you got me. Yeah, and then once that comes down, then they have an aha, you have that beautiful connection, and then they move forward if that's right for them to do. So yeah, that's why sales, as much as it's a dirty word, can be very transformational as well for you and for your clients. So I want to say, if you're one of those people who hate sales, and most of my clients do, and I should be probably be easier working with a different set of clients, because most of my clients hate sales, but I'm called to work with those kind of people who do really good things, and who deserve to be out in the world in a bigger way and making better money and working with more people. But I want to say that if you've got this thing where you detest something, it's usually a good indication that, if you can lean into it and just learn about it, and and obviously, not everything, but most of the time in my life, when I've kind of gone, like yoga, I put off doing yoga for 2 or 3 years. Everyone kept on saying, do you do yoga? Oh, you should do yoga. I just heard yoga. And then finally I was sitting in this massive room of like 200 people, and this Indian saint said, so you over there, do you do yoga? And I'm like, no, I know, but obviously I know that I should. The universe has been giving me this message for a while. She's like, yeah, you should. So once I gave into that and I started, it was life-changing for me, and it was one of life's great gifts to me, yoga. I absolutely love it. I've had a few things in my life like that where I've kind of just really resisted it. So if you've got real resistance around something that you really feel is probably a little bit good for you, that's usually where, just going through that barrier is usually where your dreams, or where that thing is that you want, lies.
So Kate, I want to go back to the movement towards the sales, moving from singing to that. Was there a pivotal moment? I can feel that you are very guided and using your intuition. Was there a pivotal moment where you just knew that you needed to do something different?
Well, yeah. So just feeling like I was waking up in the mornings feeling really kind of, just dreadful, and kind of going, well, I just didn't feel like I was using all of myself. So, I think I think I almost needed the breakup. I needed something kind of bad to happen, almost, to kind of just go, because sometimes when something bad happens, you kind of shed everything. And all of those, again, the ego saying, oh, but no, I kind of love what I'm doing in a way, but, it's not really, sometimes you need that extra push, because it's not easy starting a business, as you probably know. But I think that was, and then obviously being able to help my friend so much. And she went from really hating something and doing so, she put so much work and she deserved to do so well. She went from all of that to all of a sudden a big breakthrough. And of course I was like, wow, I have to do this more. And so I basically, did a little bit of Facebook advertising, and then worked with my first clients and started getting these amazing results, and it wasn't taking much time, it was all working just so beautifully, that I knew I had to go down this path, even though if I could have chosen anything, I may not have chosen sales, because, I want to be the person everyone loves. And, oh, wow, you're an inspirational speaker, or you're a spiritual healer. Oh, that's so wonderful. I do sales coaching. But for female entrepreneurs who are great at what they do, it's still, it is what it is. But it's like, it's not the nicest thing in the world, but because people have got this idea of it, but it's so important, whenever I've thought about changing direction a little bit, and I'm sure I'll do a lot more, because I do a lot of stuff in my coaching. I do a lot of mindset work and EFT and removing blockages and stuff. I love all of that. But I want to stick to sales as one of the core things because I want people to have that discussion as we're doing now and to face up to whatever's happening in their own head and their own business when it comes to sales, because I'm about transformation, transforming people's lives, and if that's what's going to help them get there, I'm happy to be the kind of the not so nice, like someone with a title, or some of the people go, oh, what's that about, like, with a little bit of judgment, because then we'll have that discussion, and I'm here to do what I'm here to do, which is and that's the fastest way that at the moment that I can help people.
That's wonderful. Was there a particular mask as you were moving through these transitions and changes that you recognized that you needed to let go of? I know I've worn many of them and still really trying to continuing to do my work to drop in more deeply into who I really am. Was there a particular one that maybe was tough for you, or that you recognize you needed to let go of as you were transitioning to do what you're doing now?
It's an interesting question. No, not really. I've always, well, yes and no. So when I transitioned, I've always kind of just followed my heart. I was really lucky. I was a middle child. I kind of got left to my own devices a lot. I like in Australia, we're not really pushed to be great and do everything, So I don't know. I just kind of got left to do what I wanted to do, and I've always just, I guess, had the courage to follow my heart to the next next step, or the next best step. As long as I feel called to something, I'm really quite happy to do that. Um, so not in that respect, but I guess, it's again, I struggled a little bit with, like, do I really want to be a sales coach? Because I do want to do so much in the world, and I want to connect with people, and in a bigger way. And again, with my audience, a lot of them, it'll only be when they're really, really, really struggling with a launch or with sales that they'll reach out and go, okay, bloody hell, okay, I've got to just, woman up and bloody, go and address this and have a chat to somebody about it. So either that, or if they're already doing pretty well and they realize that, hey, this is really something that is going to help myself and my business transition to a new level. But other than that, see, I'd love just to be able to put out so much great content, like all the stuff that helps me, and maybe a bit more spiritual stuff and so on. And I've got a little bit of a mix of that. But because just doing sales, I don't want to just do sales. So, and I do have a bit of that problem, trying to narrow it down to just one. But so, yeah, it's that kind of reverse mask of, like, what will people think about me? Will I be able to affect more people if I do drop that title? Should I? But to me, it felt like if I wanted to do that, I'd be putting on a mask by saying, I'm going to give in to popular opinion and what others think and what you may think of me, so that I can be popular by calling myself something different. So I'm like, nah, stuff that. I'm doing what we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to be whoever you want to see me as at the moment, and I'll affect whoever I affect at this stage. And but this is what's true for me right now. So. But yeah, I did struggle with, like, should I put on a bit of a mask of, like, softening everything down and beating around the bush with it and all that stuff. And my decision was no.
Yes, and so what you're doing is so needed as a shaman healer, moving from corporate into this work. I had to work through my own limiting beliefs around selling, and interesting. I had no problem doing that in corporate, but when it came to my own spiritual work, I had to work through things like worthiness and value. Are there any common themes that you've seen with the people that you're working with?
Yeah, you're so bang on there. It's funny. A lot of us you know, and even if you've been in another job before, and I found this myself when I started my own business, people would have to knock me over the head to say, I want to work with you, because all my like skills went out the window, because I was like, I know what I'm doing, but I just wanted them, because I felt called to do this. I wanted them to say, I want to work with you, and almost volunteer it. It's really funny. And most of the time they did. They said, so, you know, how do we work together? What's the next steps? You know, that's what the conversations almost used to go like. And it's really funny. Yeah, so I think that it's this kind of, it's this feeling like, yeah, we want people just to know our value, know our worth, and almost volunteer that they want to work with us. We just want to rock up and do what we do for a living, and do that really amazingly. And we don't want to have to kind of deal with objections and kind of think about things too much, because it feels maybe sometimes a bit incongruent with the work that we do. You know, we're there to help people, not talk someone into spending money, and, you know, even if it's going to help them. So, yeah, there's lots of stuff going on, either in the individual but also with the client. And this is, so, yeah, there is stuff around worthiness. You know, who am I to be charging money for this? You know, how can I guarantee, and especially again with transformational healers and stuff, how can I guarantee a transformation, you know? But what I tell people often is, it's not just you, darling. You know, again, it's like, you know, sometimes we do need to get over ourselves a bit. You know, you get this amazing group of women together or whatever, it is everybody and all their angels and all the ascended beings that are there at that time, and you create that safe space, and you are like a conduit for whatever healing and etc. is meant to be happening then. And you know what? Charge money, because people always get more value from money, you know, charging money. And sometimes the more you charge, the more the transformation, because they will be in with their whole self, because they're like, holy shit, I've just paid $5,000 for this, or whatever it might be. And they are, it kind of cracks people open for bigger shifts and transformation. Obviously, you know, that's if you're called to do it. If you're just starting out or whatever, you know, don't charge. Well, you know, do what feels right for you, but don't be afraid to charge really good money, especially as a healer, because that will call people to have a lot of the time bigger experiences. And if that's getting you back up a little bit, maybe do a little bit of a work around money beliefs and stuff, because it is a very, very, very abundant universe. There's a hell of a lot of money out there, even for healers and for people that feel a bit funny about charging for their work. But to do the right thing for your client, you've got to charge. You've got to ask them to work with you, and you've got to understand that even if you've got your own fears and worries about, you know, am I good enough, and you know, I don't want to be pushy or manipulative or salesy. They've got their own stuff going on, which is in their heart is going, I really need this. Their soul's going, she really needs this. But their ego is going, nah, you know, no, for all of those reasons. Those objections are going blah, blah, blah. And you're sitting there going, well, I don't want to be pushy. And you're like, okay, walk away. And then all of a sudden their ego wins, their soul goes, oh, and you can feel it. And this is when I changed my own experience around, when I stopped being worried about myself and just wanting people to, you know, I changed when I let a woman walk away who I knew I could really help. And you can feel it in yourself. They walk away, you walk away, and you go, oh, your heart sinks. You're like, oh, shit, I really let that person down. Just because of my own shit about not wanting to sell and be salesy, and, you know, and, you know, that doesn't help anyone. So yes, yeah, there's all of that stuff going on. Just be, the first step is awareness. So be aware of your own shit, be aware of what's happening for the client, and if you can see through that as not a rejection from you, and like not, you know, like, and a lot of the time some of this stuff, a lot of it's not even real, you know, it really isn't, once you kind of break it down a little bit. And you stay with them. Just stay with them till you get to the truth. That's your only job in a good sales conversation, is just to stick with them, you know, and stick with yourself, you know, allow whatever's coming up to come up, and stick in there to get to the honest truth and a clear yes or no, and they will have had a great experience either way, and you will have too, and you'll have had that beautiful connection regardless, and you won't let anyone down by doing your absolute best job.
So can you talk a little bit about objections? In my own process, I hear a lot, I can't afford it, or I don't have the funds, which you mentioned. I don't have the time, right, to do this work. Any suggestions on how people should handle?
Sure. So the first thing you need to understand with objections is that it is a request for more information. So an objection isn't like saying no, I don't want to work with you or whatever. It's a request for more information. And if someone's like, oh, that's too expensive, then you've got to try and reframe it in your own brain to like, not that's too expensive. They're saying, tell me why it's worth it. I'd love to do this. Tell me why it's worth it. So there's a few things with a price objection. There's a few things to kind of set people up, which is, you really want to understand what the pain that they're going through is, and really kind of understand why they need that transformation with you. Say with you, Anamani, what's the main reason why people are coming to you, but what does that really mean to them? Like if across the board they're experiencing some emotional pain or lack of fulfilling relationships, that is, you've got to spend time with that person really breaking that down as to what that's really costing them. Because people can go on for 10 years with the same problem, but if you can really help them transform that problem in like a matter of 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 3 months, whatever it is that you work with them, what's that really, really worth to them? If you could wave a magic wand and get them that result, like that, and it's like $1,000 or $3,000 or whatever, they'd bloody get the money. They would get the money. So that's the first thing, and then a lot of the time people have a lot more money than they're saying. I've had so many clients say, like I've let one client walk away who said, "Oh, I'm kind of tied up with a lot of other programs and stuff like that." And then a friend of mine sold her a $22,000 program. So she certainly had the money. Again, people will say things to kind of, it can be a number of things, but you've got to get to the real truth of what it is. Then I've had another person who really, really wanted to sign up for this, really quite high-end program, whose computer was cracked, and who was living half in her car and half on lounges of other people. So with that particular woman, she was like, I basically talked her out of it. And look, that may have even been a disservice, because sometimes, people, can beg, borrow and steal, and they really, really want to do it. It's right for them. It's right for them. But I just couldn't in good conscience steer her in that way. I just said, look, I want you to focus on these next steps to get these, this nice grounding underneath your feet. And then let's talk again, next year or whatever. But, and give us some help to, so find out what that objection really is. Most of the time it's bullshit. I'll tell you that right now. So most of the time it really is. Most of the time it's that ego going, shit, this means I might have to make some changes and let go of some control, and, I'm pretty happy in this pain. So be very aware of that. It is a request for more information. It is not a rejection of you. It is simply a request for more information. So you want to break that down, give them that information. Never disagree with them. Never say, oh, no, it's not too expensive. Look, because of, you've just told me this, that, and the other. No. You want to say, okay, I hear you. The very first thing that you want to do with objections is, sure, I hear you. So just, would you mind if I asked a few questions about that? And then you just want to drill down and you want to get to the truth, what's really going on for them. And those objections, which are so hard for us when we're selling, in a way, once, before we start getting used to it and start seeing the breakthroughs, that is where the juice is, the good stuff, because a lot of the time that's where you both can have these really amazing aha moments, you know, or you help them to have a really big aha moment, and even that will help them move forward in their lives, and that's a really nice thing to be able to do.
Wonderful. So, do you want to talk about some of the programs that you have now, or the offer that you'd like to make the audience with the work that you're doing?
Sure. So usually I just invite people into just a 6-week one-on-one, which is, it's a little bit more accessible for people, but plus a lot of the time, like sometimes I don't, necessarily need to work with people long term. Sometimes I just make these tweaks to their business and their sales process and their funnel and stuff, and all of a sudden they're away and they're doing really well, and it's like our work here is done. So that's the first kind of program, and then after that, it's a 3-month and a 6-month program, one-on-one. If we're really, if I can support them, for a longer period of time. So that's basically what I do. I mean, a lot of the time this stuff doesn't take that long. It's like literally within a couple of sessions, people are feeling very, very different. I will say though, that a lot of people say that you can have business success like that, and that does happen sometimes. But if you're just starting your business, it's going to take you a little while to get to get everything together. Success doesn't happen overnight. However, if it's mainly sales that's holding you back, and as long as you've got some people to talk to, then then that particular success, really does happen really quite quickly. So it depends on what you need. And again, I work with people who are just starting out, who need to kind of really get very clear about exactly what they do, exactly who they help, what problems, and really so they can speak to people and then call in those ideal clients. I love that kind of work. And then obviously teaching people how to sell to people when they have those discussions. And then I also love working with people who are already at a good level of success in their business. I've worked with some amazing healers who are charging, $6,000 for 6 days and stuff like that. Help them have huge breakthroughs, because it's the one thing that was kind of missing from their business. And again, they're like, I hate sales. I wish I didn't have to do it. If only I could just do that. But they've got the leads and stuff to talk to. And then the other thing I really help people with is when they have to speak from stage and or give webinars. Sometimes when people doing webinars and they're not working and stuff, I'm really good at just helping, see exactly what it is that needs to be adjusted, and helping with all of that. So yeah, they're the kind of things that I do. And anyone out there who is struggling a little bit and is, this is calling to you, I'm going to invite you to do a free sales breakthrough session with me. So this is just to get really clarity around what you're doing. Regardless of if we work together, you're going to leave the session feeling really energized, reinvigorated, with next steps, whether it be in your business or whatever we're called to do. I never talk anyone into anything. If anything, I actually talk people out of stuff sometimes, but I will give you some great resources. And if we're right to work together, I'll certainly make an offer. And it is very affordable, which is great. And so I'll pop that link. I'll give that to Anamani, and extend that invitation to anyone who feels called to have a chat.
Wonderful. Thank you for doing that. And any last tips for the audience before we close up here?
Just believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing, and the best thing you can do for your client is to invite them to work with you and to go deeper. Because if that's what you're here for, you need to just get that part right, so that you can work with a lot more people and have a lot more impact on the world and do what you came here to do. But pretty much most people in any industry that you can think of, even with Abraham Hicks, they're still very good at marketing and stuff. If you know those guys, Marie Forleo, of course, she's brilliant at sales. Gabby Bernstein, a big thought leader and spiritual, writer and stuff in our field. Her first job was a was a what do you call it? Like a publicist type thing, but used to sign people up for clubs and stuff like this. So a grounding in sales is super important. It's not that painful. It's actually really fun. And once you get that, you can start, really focusing on the work you're here to do.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kate. It was great to have you on the show today.
My pleasure. It's been great being here.
I'll add all your contact info underneath the video when we're done here. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you soon again on Unmasking Your Soul Conversations. And just a reminder that you are loved and you are loved. Bye, Kate.
Bye. Lots of love. Bye.
Lots of love. Take care.
Take